Whether it's a 2-day city trip, a quick weekend, or even just one night somewhere. I used to bring way too much stuff, and every time I arrived I'd unpack everything, spread it across the room, just to pack it all again 24 hours later. So hey, Johannes from Gear Up Your Life here, and today I'll show you my exact short trip setup that lets me take only what I need, while everything else stays in my bag. This not only reduces most of the chaos, but also helps you build a simple routine without wasting space. And of course, after the 12 main gadgets, I'll also show you 4 bonus picks that make your stay even easier. Our first product lays down the perfect base for this entire setup, and for me, that's the Niosmart Urban UL3 messenger bag, because this is exactly the kind of bag that makes this whole don't unpack everything idea actually work. It's basically a larger sling with around 12 liters of capacity, which means you get enough space for everything you need on a short trip, while still keeping that quick grab and go feeling you want for city days. And that balance is what makes it so useful. For its size, it's also surprisingly lightweight at around 650 grams, and the material is a 200D ripstop nylon that's water repellent, which is something I personally really appreciate for city trips, especially when the weather changes unexpectedly. In terms of layout, this is where it really stands out. You get a total of 11 compartments, and everything has its place. In the front section, you have a larger compartment where you can even fit something like a 14-inch laptop or a 12.9-inch iPad, plus smaller pockets on the sides for cables, tech, or everyday essentials. Inside the main compartment, it stays clean and simple, a few structured pockets, space for your daily gear, and even a dedicated spot for a water bottle, which I really use all the time. And that's exactly why I like using this bag for short trips, because instead of unpacking everything into the room, I just keep it inside here and only take out what I actually need. Another feature I use a lot is the luggage strap on the back, which lets you attach it directly to your carry-on. So you can travel with both, but still have all your important stuff quickly accessible in one place. And comfort-wise, the strap is actually really well done. It uses a padded memory foam shoulder strap with anti-slip webbing. So even when the bag is fully packed, it still feels comfortable throughout the day. Overall, it's just a really well thought out system. The bag usually sits at around $120, but since this part of the video is sponsored by Niosmart, you can get 10% off using the link in the description or the code GUYL10 by checkout. Our second gadget is something you already saw in the Sling setup, the Evervessel Mini, and I really think it's perfect for shorter trips because it's a gadget that just lives inside the bag and you always have something to drink with you without really thinking about it, and of course the size is just right. It's small enough to carry everywhere, fits easily into the bag, and you don't have to worry about space or weight at all, especially on short trips where you don't want to overpack. Having something simple like this that you can just grab and go makes a bigger difference than you'd expect. The only downside, and I have to be honest here, is that it's not insulated, so you won't keep your drinks cold for hours like with some other bottles or hold your coffee warm, but at the same time, I personally don't mind that too much, especially for shorter days where I just refill it anyway. And for around $20, it's still a really solid option. And if you want something more premium with insulation, I can definitely recommend something like the Owala Free Sip, but that one is usually a bit bigger and also more playful in design. This one is just simple, clean, and fits perfectly into this kind of setup. Our next gadget is the Anker Nano Powerbank, and this one I use on literally every single trip. And I'll be honest, sometimes, if I'm only staying one night somewhere, this is actually the only thing I take out of the bag. I just grab it, charge my phone, and that's it. Everything else stays packed. And that alone already shows how well it fits into this whole system. What makes this one so good is how simple and reliable it is. It's super compact, really flat, and because it's MagSafe, you just snap it onto your phone and don't have to deal with cables at all. At the same time, it still has enough power to charge your phone around 1 to 2 times, which is more than enough for short trips. And like with most Anker products, the build quality is just really solid. It feels premium, charges fast, and most importantly, it's something you can rely on. So instead of unpacking chargers, cables, and looking for outlets, I just take this out, use it, and put it right back into the bag. And again, that's exactly the idea behind this setup. Our next gadget is something I've mentioned so many times in my videos, but I've actually never really shown it properly, the AeroPress. And if you've been watching for a while, you already know. I always say this, having your own coffee set up on trips is one of the easiest ways to keep your routine, because especially on short trips, you never really know what you're getting. Sometimes there's no coffee machine, sometimes it looks like it hasn't been cleaned in years, and sometimes there's just nothing at all. This completely fixes that. I'm using the standard AeroPress, which usually sits around $35, and it's honestly one of the most reliable setups you can bring. It's compact, super easy to clean, and makes really good coffee pretty much anywhere. But what I've been doing recently, and what I'd actually recommend to everyone, is using it with a reusable metal filter, because especially if you're away for a bit longer, you don't have to carry around 20 or 30 paper filters anymore, and it just makes the whole setup even simpler. And again, this fits perfectly into the system. I don't unpack a whole coffee setup into the kitchen. I just take this out of the bag, make my coffee, and put it right back. And that's exactly the idea behind everything in this video. Our next gadget is something I don't use on every single trip, but when I do, it makes a huge difference. The Ugreen USB-C hub. This is the 5-in-1 version with HDMI USB ports and everything you need to turn your setup into something actually usable. Because here's the problem with short trips. You arrive somewhere, open your laptop, and suddenly you realize you're missing ports, you can't connect anything, or you end up plugging cables all over the room. And that's exactly what I try to avoid. With this, everything stays stays in one place. I keep it inside the bag together with my cables, and whenever I need it, I just take it out, plug it in, and I instantly have my full setup ready. No searching, no unpacking, no mess. You can connect your mouse, SSD, charge your phone, or even hook it up to a monitor with the 4K HDMI, which is really useful if you're staying somewhere a bit longer or working from a desk. And again, it fits perfectly into the system. It's not about bringing more tech, it's about keeping everything organized so you don't have to unpack your entire setup every time. Our next gadget is also from Anker, and something you've definitely heard about more than enough on this channel, the Anker 3-in-1 charging cable. And I still use it all the time, especially because I'm still on the iPhone 14, even though I probably should upgrade at some point. The reason this cable is so good is simple. With just one cable, you're basically covered for everything. You plug it in, and no matter what device you have, it just works. No switching cables, no thinking, and of course, no unpacking extra 2 cables. And I genuinely think it's one of these cases where it makes sense to spend a bit more. Because from my experience, cheaper cables just don't last. They break, stop working properly, or get loose over time. This one just stays in my bag, works every time, and replaces multiple cables with a single one, which fits perfectly into this whole setup. Our next product that really helps me to not unpack everything is a simple merino t-shirt, and mine are usually from merino.tech. I also like Unbound Merino. It's probably the slightly better brand, but it's also insanely expensive. So I personally prefer merino.tech, where you even get free socks with some bundles. And the reason this works so well in this setup is pretty simple. Merino wool just does things that normal cotton doesn't. You can wear it multiple days in a row without it starting to smell. It regulates temperature really well. So it keeps you warm when it's colder, but also doesn't overheat when it's warm. And it dries much faster if you wash it. So instead of packing 3 or 4 shirts, you can realistically get away with 1 or 2. And that's exactly what helps you avoid unpacking everything. At the same time, it still looks like a completely normal t-shirt. Nothing special, nothing like technical looking, just clean and simple. For reference, I'm around 190 centimeters, which is about 6 feet 3 and currently around 94 kilos. So roughly 207 pounds, and I wear size XL, but they also go up to XXL, so there should be a good fit for most people. And let us be honest, clothing is the easiest way to pack less without sacrificing real comfort, which makes a huge difference on short trips. Our next item is a rain jacket, and this one doesn't directly help you pack less, but in combination with something like a merino t-shirt, I think you're basically covered for almost any situation on a short trip, because with just these 2 pieces, you can handle changing weather, colder mornings, wind, or of course even rain, without needing to pack multiple layers or extra clothing. And that's really the point here. Instead of bringing more, you bring smarter combinations. The one I use is from Outdoor Research, and it's a really solid jacket overall. It's lightweight, fully waterproof, packs down small, and the material just feels like a high quality product. Price-wise, it's definitely on the higher end at around $200, which I know is not cheap. But to be fair, there are also great budget options like the one from Outdoor Ventures for around $40, which will be more than enough for most people. The Outdoor Research just has a few small advantages in terms of build quality, durability, and overall feel, but both will get the job done. And again, combined with something like a merino shirt, you suddenly really don't need much more for clothing, for example, for a 2-day trip. Our next gadget is the Tripped Toiletry set, and this is probably one of the best examples of what this whole setup is about, because this is something that just always stays packed. Personally, for shorter trips, I mostly use the clear version, because it's super simple, everything fits inside, and it's even TSA friendly, which makes it perfect for flights. You just take it out, use what you need, and put it right back. No unpacking, no organizing, nothing. For example, I usually just have 1 toothbrush, toothpaste, travel size shampoo bottles, deodorant or cologne, and of course some sort of cream, which is honestly more than enough for just a few days. But if you want something a bit more advanced, the hanging version is also really good. That one has more space, better organization, and is especially useful if you bring things like a razor, a mirror, or just more products in general. And I'm mentioning this on purpose, because if you're watching this video, there's a good chance that a full dedicated review of this set is already live on my second channel, where I go much more in depth. But for this setup, especially the clear version, just makes things incredibly easy. You open it, everything is right there, and you don't have to turn your entire bathroom into a mess. Our next gadget is the Orbit Key foldable tote bag, and this is a small upgrade that makes your whole setup even easier. Because one thing that always happens on short trips is this: you grab a drink, some food, or buy something during the day, and suddenly your main bag is either full, messy, or you have to open everything just to fit it in. And that's exactly what I try to avoid. With this, I just clip it onto my Sling bag, and whenever I need it, I take it out and use it without even opening my main bag. So instead of unpacking things or rearranging everything inside, this becomes your quick extra space. It folds down super small, takes up basically no space, and is always there when you need it. And again, it fits perfectly into this setup and costs less than $15, what is not bad at all. Because as always, it's not about bringing more, it's about avoiding unnecessary unpacking and keeping everything simple. Our next gadget is the Matador Flat Pack soap bar case. This is a small item that makes a much bigger difference than you'd expect. It usually sits somewhere around $15 to $20, so it's not extremely expensive at all. But the quality and design behind it are actually really impressive. The whole case is made from a welded Cordura fabric with a ripstop structure, which makes it super lightweight but still very durable. And what's interesting here is the so-called dry-through technology. So basically it keeps water from leaking out or getting in, but at the same same time, it's still breathable, which means your soap can dry inside the case instead of turning into that wet, sticky mess you usually get with plastic containers. And that's a huge difference when you're traveling. The design itself is really simple. You just slide your soap bar in, roll it up a few times, and clip it shut. And you can even hang it somewhere if you want, which is actually really useful in small bathrooms or hostels. Another advantage over hard cases is that it adapts to the size of your soap. So as you use it, it takes up less and less space in your bag. And that's exactly why I like it in this setup, because instead of carrying liquids, worrying about leaks, or unpacking bottles into the bathroom, this just stays inside the toiletry kit, works every time, and keeps everything clean. Our last gadget on the main list is the Anker Fusion charger, and this is probably one of the most efficient pieces in this entire setup. Because it's incredibly small, the prongs fold in, and you don't have to carry anything bulky or heavy anymore. And despite the size, the output is really solid. You get 3 ports, which means you can charge multiple devices at the same time. For example, your MacBook, your 3-in-1 charger, and even a third device without any problem. In my case, the Powerbank from earlier in this video. So instead of carrying multiple adapters or a bigger charging brick, this replaces everything with one compact solution. And it's so small that you could even fit it into your pocket if you wanted to. Another nice detail is that it even comes with a really solid USB-C cable, which, as always with Anker, feels high quality and reliable. Price-wise, it sits around $45, so just under $50, which is pretty standard for Anker. And yes, it's not the cheapest option, but for something that replaces multiple chargers and keeps your entire setup compact, it fits perfectly into this system. But of course, don't go anywhere now, because after this we still have 4 more bonus gadgets. So as always, stay tuned. But real quick before we get into the bonus gadgets, if you want to make your setup even simpler and avoid all that unnecessary unpacking, you might want to check out my newsletter. Inside, you'll find 75 plus travel essentials I've personally tested, 8 complete packing guides, and practical tips you can use on pretty much any trip, together with a community of more than 2,000 travelers already inside. You can sign up and unlock everything for free through the first link in the description. So now let's get into the bonus gadgets. These are less about not unpacking and more about just making your stay easier. Our first bonus gadget is the Braun travel alarm clock, and I personally really like having a separate alarm instead of using my phone. First, because I don't like waking up and immediately looking at my phone. Seeing emails, messages, or anything else right away just puts you straight into that react mode. And second, I don't know if I'm the only one, but especially on Apple devices, I've had moments where the alarm just didn't go off, which is honestly really frustrating when you rely on it. This one is super simple, incredibly small, costs around $30, and I've been using it for over 3 years now without any issues. You just set it, put it next to your bed, and it works every time. Our next bonus gadget is the Sea to Summit collapsible coffee mug, and I actually use this a lot right now, even in daily life, especially in the mornings when I go out with my dog. But it's also perfect for traveling. If you're in a hotel and need to leave quickly, you just fill your coffee in and take it with you. It folds down super small, is really easy to clean, and takes up almost no space in your bag. It's around $20, so a bit more expensive, but it has a reinforced stainless steel ring which makes it feel more solid and nicer to drink from. Just don't grab it from the bottom with hot coffee. That can get pretty hot. Our next bonus gadget is the Moft phone stand, and I've been using this in brown for a while now. What makes it so good is how simple and compact it is. It's basically a super thin stand that stays on your phone, and you can fold it out in seconds to use it as a stand or even a small tripod. Because of the MagSafe connection, it just snaps on instantly, and it's surprisingly stable for how thin it is. So whether you're watching something, taking photos, or even filming yourself, you don't need anything else. And that's exactly why I like it for short trips. You don't need to bring a bulky tripod or anything extra. This just stays on your phone and is always ready when you need it. Our last bonus gadget is the Woobin G5 flashlight, and this is my personal favorite small flashlight right now. It's super compact, lightweight, and surprisingly bright for its size. And it's one of those things you don't think about until you actually need it. Whether it's finding something in your bag at night, walking back to your hotel, or just having a bit of extra light, it's always useful to have. I usually just keep it in my bag, and because it's so small, you don't even notice it's there. And fun fact, the brand actually sent me one of their bigger flashlights as well, and it's honestly insane. Way heavier, way brighter, something I've never really seen before. But we'll talk about that in the next video. Alright, and with that, we're done. If you enjoyed this one, the video on the left is definitely for you. You'll find even more travel setups and gadgets there. And if you're not subscribed yet, you can do that right here on the right side. Thanks a lot for watching all the way to the end. And as always, safe travels, guys.